Alex, the game against Swansea, you started off not great, but then very quickly got the mental capacity back, and the team played really well from that moment. It was almost the perfect team to play with, the counter-attacking you could get into that game.
Yeah, I would probably split the halves. I thought the first half we sort of hunted the ball, so it wasn't necessarily counter-attack. It was probably more nicking the ball in high areas and then hitting them in transition really quickly. And then second half, obviously I was concerned the amount of games we've had. Could we sustain that pressure for a full 90 minutes was always going to be the sort of deciding factor. And then I put us into a different type of shape and we adopted a different style of approach. But I thought we did both approaches equally as well as the other, which is really pleasing, which shows how flexible we are. And I thought we've seen the game out really well. I thought we were dominant. I thought we had the best chances in the game. I thought we hunted the ball probably as well as anybody's done it to Swansea, and deserved to win.
You talked about the pressing and the transitions. Josh Laurent and Tyrese Campbell worked tirelessly, and presumably that will have had an effect when you're looking towards this weekend. Because of the amount of matches that you've had to play, will you be looking to freshen the team up?
Yeah, I think we've been in a situation recently. You only need to really look at the bench to see that we haven't had a full complement to choose from. We're hoping that's naturally going to get better with a little bit of time. So, yeah, I think it's one of the games where you look at it and you could, if you had people available, potentially freshen it up a little bit. But, yeah, we'll just see where we go for this game, what's available, and then we'll try and make the best choices we can to go and try and attack the game.
And Millwall, they're fifth in the league. They've had a very good season. They're a strong physical team. And you, of course, know the guy that scored 2 goals against Stoke earlier in the season, Charlie Creswell, quite well. How do you see the game panning out?
I think it'll be a difficult game. I think they're very physical. I think they've got a really good understanding of what they are and what they're trying to do. I think defensively they're strong. They're really quick in transition. They're happy to sort of play without the ball and play in counter-attack as well. I think they've got a lot of legs and energy in their team. So, yeah, listen, you can see why they're at the top end of the division, and the fact that I think that they've bedded in how they've played now over a number of years with Gary. And what he's managed to do is, instead of having to make wholesale changes, he's just sort of cherry-picked a couple here and there and added into his squad in terms of ingredients he thinks he needs. So, yeah, listen, it's going to be a tough game. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody in the division would say that playing Millwall's an easy match.
There were parts in the match on Wednesday when Will Smallbone was quite deep and Dujon Sterling was flying up the wing. Did you target that game for it to happen, or did it just evolve?
No, we spoke about in terms of how we were building our rotations. We knew where the spare space was going to be. So yeah, it was something we'd discussed and we'd worked on. It's not the first time we've done it. I think we've done it on quite a few occasions. And as I said before, the lads are tactically very good, flexible in terms of the games as well. So yeah, every game that you play is different in terms of where the space is going to be and who you need to get on the ball. So yeah, the lads know what we're doing.
When you get into a situation like that though, and you tend to change the system in game to try and catch people out or counter their threats, how much better are the team accepting what you say and knowing what to do themselves without you having to bark everything out on the sides?
Yeah, I think now what we've got is a template in terms of there's 3 or 4 different ways that we'll try and get up the pitch. There's 3 and 4 different ways that we'll try and press the ball, and they've got a really good understanding of each of them. I think for me to look at progress in terms of being here, I watched the last time we played Swansea, which was 1 each, and then that time where we played Swansea, and in my opinion, having watched it, there's an absolute marked difference in terms of where we currently are as a team. So for that perspective, I'm really pleased with that. I think we've got a good idea of what we're doing. I think that we've been putting, probably for the last 5 or 6 matches, we've put some good performances together, albeit they haven't always married up the results. But if we'd won the Blackpool games, I felt we should have done, we'd be sitting with 4 wins out of 6, which is a good return at this level.
When you look at the stats, which you do all the time, the Blackpool match, I think it was 70-odd% possession. You had less than 50% against, I think it was about 30-odd against Swansea. Do you find that really, I know goals change games, do you find that really frustrating that for all the good work you do, there is this correlation where the more possession Stoke have at the moment, the less points they get? No,
but I think what it shows us is what we need to work on and improve. I think we need to work on when we've got the ball being better. in possession, and the fact that teams don't want us to have the ball, so hunt us more and leave more space in behind. So yeah, I think there's always work to be done. I think that a defensive setup and a defensive structure is always the easiest thing to fix. Being hard to beat and destroying is easier to be creative rather than being creative, isn't it? It's much easier to set that up. So I think defensively, albeit I didn't think that after 90 seconds the other night, but I think in the main defensively we've looked pretty strong. I think the goals we have conceded, that one was a second phase set play which we've misread the first flight of the ball and should have got a header on it, and the other two have been outside the box, one being a deflection. So I think defensively we've been really quite solid in the last sort of batch of games, and we've been creative, we've created a lot of chances going the other way, so that's a good combination, because we very often earlier in the season were discussing how we've been poor in that box and poor in that box, whereas I think there's been a big difference certainly of late in terms of how well we've done each side of the game.
Tyrese Campbell, whether there was confusion with the head injury or whatever, he came off. Were you going to change the shape anyway, or did that contribute to it, changing the shape?
No, the change of shape would have happened irrespective of Tyrese being on the pitch or not. That didn't make any difference. The shape was already changed at that point. What had happened was Jacob had dropped into the right side and then they two had been up top. So all that had happened was we just moved Jacob up there and then we obviously brought a sub on. So I moved, I think, Keane from one side to the other and then put Jordan in.
And when you look at the amount of loan players you've got, given the injuries hopefully are getting better, you're going to have to solve that soon, aren't you? Because you're going to have to disappoint people when you've got 7 loans and you can only have 5 in the squad. Yeah,
but as I said at the start, the fact is we're now in the 33rd game this season that we've played, and there's never been a point so far where I've had to drop a loan out. So I think that shows you in terms of when you think about is it worthwhile? For 33 games it's been worthwhile. And I know we haven't had 7 all the time, but we had 6 pretty much for the very start. So in that respect, there might be times where that might need to happen. But as I said before, I'd much rather have them there and be available if we need them than not have them there at all, because that is a bigger problem.
And on the injury front, how are we?
Yeah, I think we're fine. I think we've got a couple hopefully nearing a return. So we'll see how we are for this game.
Is Jagielka okay? Because he was ill midweek.
Yeah, I think he should be okay.
And Celina's back fully fit again?
He's training.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers.
Alex, how important is when you've got and retained possession to make it count? Because a lot of the times you've had possession and sometimes you haven't got the just rewards, have you? But it's not always about possibly making inroads when you have it, because you've proved that in the last couple of games where your possession stats hasn't been as good as what the opposition has been.
I thought Ange made a really good point earlier. Goals change games, don't they? Yeah. Because if you're in the lead, there's no need to expose your team then to then go and try and get the next goal. I think the biggest difficulty we've had this season is we've conceded early and first far too often, which then makes it really difficult. And if you look at the stats in this league in terms of the importance of the first goal, the percentages are really quite high in terms of the effect that it has on the game. So we need to make sure that, for that point of view, that you're going to concede first from time to time. We did against Swansea, we came back and we won the game. It's not the first time we've done it, but you want to give yourself an advantage, not a disadvantage to start with in the game. So possession doesn't concern me as much, if I'm being honest. I don't look at us and think we want to continually pass the ball. The simple fact is, if a team's pressing us and it becomes dangerous to our goal or counterproductive to us, we'll turn the ball. I've got no issues with doing that. I'm not a footballing snob. I'm not precious in terms of how we play. My main goal is to set us up to win the game, and if we need to turn the ball to do so, that's fine. The difficulty we've probably got at the moment is we don't have an out-and-out target to turn the ball to. So if you're going to turn the ball predominantly, you want the ball to stay at the top end of the pitch, and it's difficult for our forwards, although they're competitive and they'll fight for every ball. It's hard when obviously in terms of size it's a bit of a mismatch sometimes.
But as you look at Millwall, as I say, they do have goals in other areas apart from set pieces, don't they? So, but they are dangerous at set pieces, aren't they, Alex?
Yeah, they're dangerous at set plays, but I think the last 10 goals, only 3 of them have been set plays. I mean, you say set plays, I think 2 were a corner and 1 was a throw-in. So they're dangerous in transition. I think their pace towards goal in terms of when they turn the ball over is the quickest in the league, which means when you've got the ball, they're at their most threat. So we need to be careful with the ball and make sure we don't get up cheaply in stupid areas, but we will have to move the ball quickly.
But you do go into the game with momentum, don't you? You've already alluded to you were pleased with the way the team turned it around against Swansea, and that's a good position to be in, Alex, going to this game, isn't it?
Yeah, but I've been pleased with how we've been playing recently anyway. Do you know what I mean? Irrespective of... Because the simple fact is, when you're a manager, there's obviously you're judged on results, you're judged on winning games, and that's fine. But I'm a big believer, and I think I said this the first day I walked in, performances will ultimately give you results. You know, and we've got to make sure that our performances have been good. And in regards to performance, I think for the last 5-6 games, I think we've been in a pretty good place. You know, I'm not saying we've been sparkling every time, but we've been really competitive. I don't think any teams came here and got the better of us, and I think we've been in every game. In the games that we have performed really well, we've started to score a few goals now. You know, that's what, 3 games out of the last 6 we've scored 3, we've scored 4, and then we've scored 3. So we're carrying a threat, we're capable.
Do you feel you're getting that momentum from the team then, in terms of the return you're getting from the goals point of view?
Yeah, I think I'm getting return from the team in every aspect. I think defensively we've been stronger, offensively we've been better, although there is a couple of games in there you'd want to do more. But I feel as if we're in a good space and we're moving in the right direction. I think it's helpful for the players as well to come back for a goal down and win. I think it's helpful in the fact that we've moved a couple of places in the league. I just think all the bits that are a bit of optimism and a bit of reward for your efforts, shall we say, is a positive thing and a good thing for us. So we want to continue that. We want to finish the season well, and obviously this is a big game for us.